Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And before we get into today's video, I would just like to take a moment to say, yes, I have taken a few days off from making videos. The shock of what happened to Her Majesty, the complete change that's overcome in this country, it affected me deeply. I did a very short video on the Thursday evening of her death, sort of explaining the shock I was in. And I've decided not to make any videos for a few days. I didn't think it was right to be sort of getting angry at life's iniquities at such a tragic time. But I'm back. Life moves on. I've given her a few days. I'm getting over it myself. I was in London on Saturday. It was heaving. Green Park, they even closed the tube station there because there was just so many people wanting to go and pay their condolences. It was quite moving. I didn't do any videos about it. There's a million videos out there. If you want to look at that sort of thing, please go ahead. I did sort of have a moment, but it was personal, and I'm going to keep it that way. So, thank you very much, and back to normal service. And so today we're going to be looking at what's happening with the UN, in particular their new policy, which is to let old people freeze to death. Well, that's the only conclusion you can take for what they're saying. The UN is demanding that Europe does not return to the use of fossil fuels through the winter to heat people's homes because it's bad for the environment. And yet, strangely, they aren't tackling China over its use of coal-powered stations. Only Europe. Seems a bit racist, if nothing else. But we'll have a look at this article and see why the United Nations wants old people to die. So, here we are. We are told now that we have to freeze for the global agenda. The UN demands European nations do not return to fossil fuels over the energy crisis. Yeah, because God forbid people in the West actually were comfortable. The UN is run predominantly by non-white, non-Western nations. And they absolutely hate the West. They are actually very racist. The people who are in there, who are the representatives of these countries, absolutely hate the West and all it stands for. And so they don't want the West to succeed. And yet this is the utmost stupidity, because without the West, there wouldn't be a UN, because it's the West that pays for it. Predominantly Europe and the United States who pay for the UN. And Europe and the United States who are the world's biggest aid givers. Now imagine they alienated the West so much. The West said, actually no, sod ya. Getting nothing more. Where are the UN going to go? America could turn around tomorrow and say at the UN building, right, we're closing that, find somewhere else to live, and kick them all out. Where are they going to go? If America pulled out of the UN and told them all to go, America doesn't care where they go because they're not part of the UN anymore. No one can even talk to us anymore. Don't care. Go away. Who's going to build it? If Europe said, no, we don't want it. Go to some other country. Go to, go Africa. Go and see if there's an African country that can host it and pay for it and pay for all the insurance and pay for all the security and pay for all the infrastructure. See which African country would do it. Or see which Asian country would do it. All of a sudden, there's a lot of them would be going, no, thank you, no, thank you. Or they just outright couldn't afford it. So the UN needs to sort of look to see who's paying the bills here. And remember that he who pays the piper calls the tune. But unfortunately, we are paying the piper, but they are calling the tune. They need to stop that, and they need to fuck off if they think I'm going to freeze. Anyway, Russia has reduced the supplies of gas to Europe since its invasion of Ukraine, sending fuel prices soaring, and while supply chain issues post the coronavirus pandemic have also hit deliveries. And despite those travails, there is no room for backtracking in the face of the ongoing climate crisis. Deputy UN Rights Chief Nada Al-Nashif, not a European name, told the United Nations Human Rights Council. But there is no climate crisis. I know a lot of you out there go, oh, yeah, there is. No, there isn't. I'm going to tell you why there's no climate crisis. We are allowing billionaires in their £1 billion yachts to get in there, put £1 million worth of fuel in it and sail away for 3 months. If there was a fuel crisis, if there was a climate crisis, we wouldn't be allowing that to happen. And we only have to look at all these people who are getting in their private jets and pissing off here, there and everywhere. We wouldn't allow that if it was a crisis. Oh no, if there was a genuine crisis, that wouldn't happen. They wouldn't be having your helicopter rides, one side of the city to the other. No, there's a crisis. You've got to walk, take public transport. Las Vegas would close. because you wouldn't. What, gambling? It's only gambling. That's not important. Close Las Vegas. You know, Mickey Mouse, what do you call it? Disneyland, Disney World, Euro Disney. They'd all have to go because, hey, they're just rides. That's not important. People's lives are important. Rides, not so. If it was truly a climate crisis, these places would close. These places aren't closing because there is no climate crisis. It's just a way of enveloping fear around a growing population that is entirely sick of the elite and their bullshit. And they know it. And in fact, the angers are rising. Even Germany has taken to saying that anyone who disagrees with government is an enemy of the state. They are gaslighting this problem before it becomes a problem, so that when people riot, the German nation, the German authorities can say, oh no, they're enemies of the state, they are terrorists and we are going to clamp down on them. These are not terrorists, they are normal people who are wondering how the hell they're going to feed their children. But the German authorities are gaslighting this already because they're scum, because this elite scum does not care for one iota about the people. But anyway, it's going to go on, and he's just saying, some EU member states, she's saying some EU member states are turning to investments in fossil fuels and infrastructure and supplies. Yes, because they don't want their entire economies to implode. But that is what you get from non-Westerners who look to the West, hate us, are jealous of us, because they've got nothing. I mean, I don't know where she's from, actually. Doesn't say where she's from. But you can guarantee that where she's from is probably one of those countries where the elite at the top are incredibly rich and there are millions upon untold millions in poverty and misery, because she looks the sort anyway. But there we are. I'll leave it there. I'll come up because it does get me angry. I really think the United Nations represents a clear and present danger to every human being on the planet. What they want to do with the destruction of the West and its belittlement, especially Europe, would impoverish billions, and I mean billions. But they don't care. Their anti-white racism and anti-Western ideology is all they care about. Well, screw them. The whole UN needs to be cancelled, and these people need to be sent home to their own countries and told to build a better organisation. Preferably one that they're paying for and not the West. And the West needs to stop all foreign aid. Give these countries a chance to stand on their own 2 feet. Anyway, if you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notifications of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, don't trust politicians, and goodbye.